Welcome to the channel where we focus and explore the human and behavioural side of project management. In this episode, I've invited Darren Samphier to talk to us about some of the challenges faced by program and project managers, to shed some light about what it would take to lead large programs and projects. Darren has over 40 years of industry experience, 25 years of program and project management, and he's been utilised mainly in the last 8 years to recover programs and projects. His experience spans banking, transport, broadcasting, defence, health, mining, anti-money laundering, and the list keeps going. If you want to know more about Darren Samphier or you want to reach him, I've left his details in the description. So let's go ahead and ask Darren Samphier some questions. Darren, welcome to the channel. Nice to have you with us today.
Oh, thanks. So happy to be here, mate.
What are the biggest challenges in your roles that you've had?
I think the biggest challenges is having the organisation understand project management as project managers do. Project managers get blamed a lot for systemic issues. Businesses invest a lot in project management. They have a methodology, they train up the project managers and that sort of thing, and they spend a lot of money to get it right. The problem is, when it doesn't go right, let's train up the project managers again. Let's change the methodology. Let's put in something new. Whereas the reality is, if you've got project managers in there that can't do their job, you have to look at the reasons why they can't do their job. I remember sitting in a group of 250 project managers of one of the banks being told we weren't doing a good job. And I just wanted to ask the question, why did they employ 250 duds? And the reality is, they didn't employ 250 duds. The organisation wasn't allowing us to do a good job. And getting the execs, taking that down to the next level, is getting the executives to understand the steps involved in running the project. You would yourself, you would know that you go into a steering committee and you could say, oh, we've just through the second iteration of our system requirements document. And the steering committee, all the execs are yawning because they've only got one question: how much am I getting and when am I getting it? So you've got to continually with the execs to get them to understand is linking all those outputs from a project to the business outcomes that they're wanting. If you can make those linkages, then you can run a project.
Interesting, yeah, that definitely is very challenging. So can I just then take you to another question? How do you then lead your programs to success? So we've heard about the challenges. How do you lead them to success?
Well, that's a good question, and of course there's no simple answer to that. If there was a simple answer, everyone would be doing it. And of course we've got 50 years of IT projects going awry, as you can appreciate. But success is in the planning and the setup of the project in the first place, and a fair bit of that is on the organisation side. Every project needs a sponsor. Now, how many projects have you been given? Someone says, I want you to do this as a project. And oh, yes, so who's the sponsor? Well, I'll be the sponsor. And of course, the sponsor has to be the person who is over everything you're touching in that project, or has been given authority over all the bits you're touching by the person who does do that. If you have that, then that's a great start. Your project has to be prioritised against every other project in the organisation as well. If you're after resources and other projects have your resources, but all the execs are expecting you to finish your project first, well, everyone has to know that. You can't go out and say, I'm more important than yours, my project. They've got to be told that. There's got to be an official ranking of the projects, the priority. If you don't have that, then you've got to go back to the sponsor every time. And again, This is why they're over everything touching their pieces, and make them set that priority on the run. Benefits have to be defined, right? They've got to be well and truly defined as to what the benefit is in each of the pieces you're touching. And then once the benefits are defined, there's got to be a person assigned to own those benefits. It's not the project manager. The project manager is putting together an output or a new system or whatever that then the company uses to provide a business outcome by realising those benefits. Then after you've got all those things in place. You need a project manager who knows how to run a project. But you can see there's a whole lot of pieces that are done before the PM even gets on board that define the success of the project. Once the PM's there, then you've got to follow all the steps in a project. If you're running a waterfall project, then you do every single output in that waterfall project. Now, on a big project and a little project, that might mean a certain step might be an email, or it could be a 50-page document. But at least do every single one. No matter how small it is, do it so that you can then put that aside. You can get an approval for a small bit or a large bit or whatever. You've got to make sure that you've thought of these things. Because if you don't think of them, they're only going to bite you later on down the track.
That's right. Yeah.
You've got to be ready to articulate why you're doing each of those as well. And again, those outputs, linking them to outcomes, articulate why that's important. Identifying troublesome stakeholders and giving attention to those. There's some big ones that you need to do to. They might not ensure success, but if you don't give them due attention, they might derail you along the way.
Got it. There's a few things there. Darren, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Here it is, folks. We've heard from an expert in the field today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe and like so I can make more of these videos.